Tonight on Alaska's News Source, the school district is proposing dramatic cuts, many including the sports programs. We talk to parents and students to get their thoughts. Rising prices, interior residents are watching their electric bill go up and want to know why. And it's time to get out and ski a bit and, hey, maybe dress like a Viking, because why not? We have the Alaska Ski for Women on this sunny day.
And our warming trend does continue into the work week. I'll show you how much warmer temperatures get this week.
You're watching Alaska's News Source.
Good evening. A plane crashed at Merrill Field last night, leaving one person injured. According to Clint Johnson with the NTSB, the Piper PA-22 was taking off from runway 34 when the pilot reported a loss of engine power. The pilot made a right descending turn and crashed onto another taxiway. The Anchorage Fire Department responded and took one person to the hospital with injuries. The other person on board reported no injuries. The NTSB investigator was on scene last night and the plane secured. The investigation will continue early this week. Late in the day on Friday, the Anchorage School District released an announcement with proposed cuts to programs to help clear a $90 million budget deficit. In addition to increasing class sizes and cutting various special programs, many of the proposed cuts involved athletics. The current proposal includes a complete end to funding for all middle school sports, as well as many different high school sports, including hockey, swimming and diving, wrestling, volleyball, and others that you can see there. Some notable exclusions to that list are football, basketball, track, and cheer, which would continue to be funded, as well as baseball and softball, which are funded by outsourcing from individual teams. We spoke with parents and students at a hockey game last night and got to see their perspective on losing their favorite sports.
I think it's absolutely absurd that they're even considering to cut sports. My kid being on the South hockey team is the reason that he goes to school. It's the reason that he pushes to get his grades so that he can keep playing hockey.
I've made so many new friends. Just like I was a freshman and I was scared. And like I've made so many new friends through it. And it's definitely helped like with my mental health. And I've like coaches stay on to you about grades too, so you don't fall behind.
ASD Superintendent Jarrett Bryant says the school board will review budget options in the coming weeks and will hold a 2-hour work session on Tuesday where public input will be welcome. Electric bills in interior Alaska have seen a recent increase, leaving residents wondering why. According to Golden Valley Electric Association, the region's utility, a few factors make December and January the most expensive times for electricity. Colder temperatures lead to greater use of space heaters and systems for keeping homes and cars warm. During the weeks-long cold snap Fairbanks saw in December, these systems had to run more than normal. Also, during the holidays, members spend more time at home running appliances and other items. Meanwhile, the utility says rates are around 5% higher now than this time last year.
This January, absolutely understand that bills coming out are surprising many members for how high they are. And we attribute a huge portion of that to the record-breaking cold that we experienced in December. We had sustained temperatures under zero, at even colder than that.
Bradish says GVEA has services to help people identify how they're using their power and where they might find efficiencies. A fire at an East Anchorage home sent one person to the hospital and 2 dogs to the emergency vet today. According to Captain Brian Sorsdahl with the Anchorage Fire Department, it was a single-family home with heavy fire coming out the back of the building when they arrived. The occupant was outside with one dog, but the other dog was trapped downstairs. Sorsdahl said they were able to put the fire out and get the dog out. The person in the house was taken to the hospital with unknown injuries. Sorsdahl said he thinks the fire was caused by a cooking accident. And it was a beautiful day out there today, Melissa. I'm glad that you got to be out. You were out a bit at the Alaska Ski for Women.
Yes, it was so beautiful out there. A little deceptively cold because it was so pretty, but it was gorgeous. You could see the mountains into the distance and crystal clear, beautiful blue skies. A little more ominous, though, at this hour. We saw those clouds rolling in this afternoon. And just as that sun was about to set, you can see those clouds draping over the city. Temperatures this afternoon were holding in the mid-20s near Anchorage, low 20s in Palmer. Below zero, though, even before the sunset in Fairbanks, and 35 this afternoon in in Juneau, again, before temperatures start dropping here into those overnight hours as we move. Here overnight, we will see cooler conditions, but we do have a number of weather alerts in place. A number of these are due to high winds and even high winds that are coming midweek for areas like Kodiak, for the Dalton and Steese highways north of Fairbanks, and for the North Slope. Those winds have been strong today on the slope, gusting between about 30 and 35 miles per hour. Similar conditions as you head across the Bering Sea, and then even seeing those strong winds into Kodiak and Ketchikan. That is because of high pressure that's anchored out in the western Aleutians and low pressure anchored in the Pacific, and that air just getting funneled and squeezed between those two areas. The other thing I'm watching tonight is we have this little band of showers trying to sneak into Anchorage and along the Sterling Highway. Chance for a few quick snow showers here overnight, but as we head into Monday, I do expect drying and clearing conditions. And your Monday afternoon, a high of 30 in Anchorage, 8 in Fairbanks. Rain continues in Juneau, mostly cloudy in Bethel with highs in those mid-teens. But again, temperatures are warming, and I'll have a closer look at that extended forecast, Tracy, here in just a few minutes.
Thanks, Melissa. The Alaska Sea Life Center has taken in a male ringed seal that was found out of his normal habitat and in an oil field on the North Slope. This happened back in December. According to the Sea Life Center, the seal was first spotted by workers at the oil field who contacted NOAA Fisheries. The young seal was taken back to the ice but returned again and again to the oil field. The center says when the seal was found near areas of heavy equipment, he was placed in a crate to prevent him from getting injured, and NOAA Fisheries authorized the seal to be moved to the Alaska Sea Life Center for rehabilitation. The ring seal is listed as threatened under the Endangered Species Act. Only 30 ring seals have been admitted to the Sea Life Center in the past 25 years. The seal is not eligible for re-release. Once an ice seal has been taken from their natural range, they cannot be released for fear of spreading diseases from one marine ecosystem to another. And the warm temperatures today probably made the course a little slick, but when you're dressed like a Viking, does it really matter? Today was the Alaska Ski for Women. It's an annual event held on the first Sunday in February, and according to the Nordic Ski Association of Anchorage, it is the largest women's cross-country ski event in the nation. They typically see close to 1,000 women at the event. Now, in addition to the fun costumes and party waves, there are actual races and timed events, including a freestyle race and classic race. This is a fundraising event for the Nordic Ski Association and for Alaska nonprofits that work to end domestic violence.
Very beautiful groom trails. Today is the best weather we've seen in quite some time, and just really a supportive group of community members. So if you're brand new to the sport, we highly encourage you to join us. Almost 30% of our skiers every year, this is their first day on skis.
Former U.S. Olympic skier Sue Forbes took home the gold in the classic race, while Leah Besh won the skate ski. When we come back, the state's population has gone up at least a little. We'll tell you why.
You're watching Alaska's news source.
Alaska's population grew in the last year, if only by a small percentage. The State Department of Labor and Workforce Development estimates the population grew by 0.2%, which is 1,649 people. Now, we continued the pattern of losing people by net migration, meaning more people moving out than are moving in, but the state gained people by natural increase, which means the number of births minus the number of deaths. Other trends that continued last year, but at a lower rate, was a decrease in the working age population and an increase in the elderly population.
Now, in terms of broader patterns, in the last 5 years, we've seen our elderly population grow every single year. And we actually saw it grow really strong in 2021 and 2022, about 7.5%, 5% growth in the 65 plus population. We've seen that soften a little bit recently into the 3-4% range. What that really does is it puts pressure on parts of the economy that the elderly need to access more. So particularly healthcare, for example, we've seen a lot of growth during COVID and even after COVID in the healthcare sector, and it might be related to those demographic shifts as well.
Jones also emphasized that because of the size and diversity of Alaska, there's no single issue or solution.
It's just really, really different when we think about urban challenges versus hub challenges versus challenges at the really specific village level. And so I think even as we're looking at numbers that are broader, I think we should be cognizant that there are very distinct challenges around the state because we are such a diverse place with such diverse economies and communities that have down to 50, 100, 200 people, all the way up to over 300,000.
And on Wednesday, the Federal Reserve made the decision to keep interest rates where they are, despite the president wanting those rates to be lowered. I sat down with Al Biss with Biss Wealth Partners to get a little better understanding about what the Federal Reserve does and how it impacts our lives.
Two mandates, and they're not always working together. The first mandate is maximum employment. That is trying to get as many people in the workforce as possible so we have as few people not working.
Okay.
So that's the first mandate. The second mandate is price stability, so not having inflation, which, for years you talk inflation, no one really got it. The last 5 years, people have understood a lot more because we've actually seen some. So the Federal Reserve is trying to do two things that conflict sometimes.
I learned so much about the Federal Reserve, what it is, and how it impacts our daily lives. You should check out the latest edition of In Depth Alaska. You can find that wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.
You've been listening to the Alaska's News Source podcast. Subscribe to have the latest episodes delivered to your library automatically.